I welcome you back to this video. In my last video, I taught you how to export your drawing or your general arrangement from AutoCAD to Prota structure. In this video, we are going to continue and start our modeling. Okay, to start your modeling now, you go to your beam. If you have not watched our first training, I advise you go and do that, because this or that is going to make your work more easier and faster for better understanding. Okay, as you can see, the breadth of my beam is 225 and the depth is 450. Okay, and I'm going to start inserting my beams. Okay, I'll start inserting my beams one after the other. Okay. Oh, sorry, I don't want to insert such beam here. Let me continue from this side. I'll start inserting my beam for this point. I will tell you the reason why I don't want to insert that beam there, and I can also still insert it and change the level. Okay, I will insert my beams here. Okay, and let me insert a straight beam down this way. This will be easier because you already have your general arrangement and it's already showing, as you can see. All you just need to do is to be tracing them one after the other. Okay, can you see that? I will insert a beam at this point. I would like to have a beam here. Okay, insert a beam here. Okay, let me insert a beam all the way from this end and take it to this end. Okay, I'll connect it this way. Okay, then I will take another one from this point and I will stop it at this point. Okay, make sure you are selecting the right grid. Okay. Okay, and let's insert this at this point. Okay, and let's insert this at this point. Okay, let's do the same thing for this side. Okay, and you take this straight down this way and you connect this to this point. Okay, then let's check, do we still have to, okay, let me insert a beam here. If you remember, according to our general arrangement, okay, I need a, oh, sorry. Okay, that's fine, that is how I want it to be. Okay, I think I need to shift, okay, that column is fine there. Okay, then, oh, okay, this is already there. Then for this particular level now, for these points, we need a grid here and we don't have the grid there. Okay, so we can easily offset the grid. Let me go to my AutoCAD. Okay, as you can see, on our first floor, we have a wall here and we don't have a grid there. So how do I detect the dimension from this point to this point? All I would need to do is I will go to my home and I will click on line and I will draw a line at this point to locate the center. Okay, this is 2254. I'll draw that line. Okay, let me see. Or so that I can be able to see it very well, let me select another layer. Let me use this grid layer and I'll draw the line. I can select this line and change it to that grid. Okay, so that I can be able to see the line. Can you see that's the line there? And I'll go to my annotate. I'll select my dimension and I'll pick it from this center. Can you see the center snap? Then I'll take it to this point, just to know the dimension. Okay, can you see this is 850 center to center? Then I will go back to my Prota structure now and I will offset this grid from here. You have to select the grid, select this grid, you right click on it and you say offset. Then you take it downward, you click on your F2 and you say minus 850. Okay, and you click on enter. Okay, now we have successfully created another grid for this point, as you can see. Okay, then for me to, let me delete this beam. I told you I don't want to do that. If I go to my AutoCAD again, let me go back to my elevation. Okay, as you can see this elevation here, we need to put a beam here, because if you did not put a beam at this point, if you look at this cantilever here now, is stepping down from your first floor. This is because there is a staircase there and there is a landing there, okay? Then all I need to do, I need to offset the beam that will be at this point. I will offset it down, because if you want to place your column and you do not have a beam, okay, Prota structure will never allow you to do that, okay? But to trick that Prota structure to allow you to place that column and design it for you, all you need to do is to run your beam at that point, okay? So I will take my dimension tool and I will check the dimension from this, okay? From my first floor, okay, from the top of my first floor to the top of the beam that I want it to be here now is 1,200. Then I will go to my Prota structure now. Then I will select this beam. Let me select any beam. I will right click and say properties. And I will create one beam first, okay? Then after creating this beam, I will select the beam now and I will go to properties and I will go to this 3D here and I will select this del zi. I will type minus 1,200 minus 1,200 and I will go to the second J hand. This is the J hand. I will click on my tab and I'll type minus 1,200 again, okay? And I'll click on update. So it's going to automatically take that beam to that level, okay? If I go to my 3D now, you see that the beam, this particular beam is not on same level with this particular one. Can you see? Can you see that? Okay. Then all I need to do again is, I don't want to use this thickness of this beam, okay? Because it's going to be an obstruct for that entrance. So I will right click and say properties again. And I will change the depth of this beam to 150 so that it's going to be a concealed beam, okay? Since the distance or the span of that cantilever is not much, okay, it's very certain we can easily use it as, or we can easily place a cantilever there. But because the software will not allow you to place a cantilever or place a column on a cantilever without a beam, okay, then we just need to do this. You make this beam a concealed beam so that by the time you place your column or this cantilever, you are not going to be seeing this drop down beam, okay? It's going to serve as a concealed beam, okay? Then let me go back to my plan. Then I will select this beam now. It's still selected. I will right click and say properties and I'll create another beam at this point to this point and I'll take another one to this point, okay? Then I will go to this other hand here and I'll create another beam from here to this point with same properties. I'll do the same thing for this point and I'll do the same thing for this point, okay? And let me go back to my 3D and show you what I've just done. Can you see that beam there? Can you see the beam? Can you see that? Okay, can you see that? Then if you look at the second one, can you see? Okay, then I'll go back to my Storey 1 plan. Then I will insert my column or my slab rather. I'll go to slab, okay? Then I'll change the height of this slab to 150 mm, okay? Then I will leave the concrete cover as 25 mm. I'll go to the load. Under my load now, I will click on this drop down and I'll choose my room and I'll go to my impose load. I will right click and choose my bedroom and dormitories, okay? I'll go back to my general, then I'll start inserting my slab the way I want it to be, okay? I will insert a slab here. I will insert a slab here. I will insert a slab at this point. I will insert a slab here. I will insert a slab here, okay? Insert all your slab, okay? Oh, sorry, let me delete this one. Then I will click on this. I will right click and say properties. Okay, let me see. Select it again and say properties. At times, if it's snapped this way, you click on it, then you select it again and delete it. Okay, choose your properties again. Then, can you see, it's still snapping at this point. Let me insert this one. We don't have a slab there. If I say properties now, okay, let me see, still snapping. Make sure it snapped to the forehead the way it's supposed to snap. This is not right, okay? Let me do this. Can you see? Can you still doing the same thing? So that is Prota for you. So I will select it and delete it. Select this one and delete it. Okay, you can use your pick point insertion point. Okay, if you encounter such, let me change it to pick point. Okay, then I will pick this point. I will pick this point. I will pick this point, and I will pick this point. Okay, can you see? Can you see how I inserted this? Okay, that is that. Then you click on close. This is my staircase area, so I don't need to insert a slab here. I don't need to insert a slab at this point. All I need to do is, if I go back to my AutoCAD file now, I will check my floor plan. Let me check my floor plan and see how my staircase is going to run. My staircase is going to run all the way from this side to this side, okay? And the whole of this place will be a landing, okay? Then what I'm going to do is, I will take my dimension tool now. This is telling me that I'm going to need a beam here, okay? Then I'll pick this dimension from here, from this line. I'll take it to this point. Or let me see. Let me pick it from here. Dimension, dim linear. Take it from here. And I will stop it at this point. I'll check this distance. Can you see that? Can you see the distance? Well, we can do this. Let's do this dimension. Let me pick it from here, so that by the time I will pick a beam or I will pick a grid line, it's going to be at the center. Okay, I'll stop it right at this point. Okay, this is 2 meter and 25 mm. But we need to get the center. To get that now, let's offset this. Let's do this. Let's see. 2 meter 25. Okay, then let me go back to my, or let me pick this from here. I can take my line. Once I take my line, I will draw a line this way. Okay, sorry, I will take my line to line. I will draw a line from here. I'll draw a line this way. Okay, I'll draw a line again this way. I'll draw a line from here, from this point to this point. Okay, then I will offset this line by 112.5. Let me click on offset. This is your offset here, as you can see. You click on offset and you type 225. You hit on enter. Then you offset, 112.5. You offset it again. You select it, offset by 112.5. You hit on enter. Okay. You want to get the center of that point. You delete this one. You don't need it. Then you offset this one again. Okay, you click on offset, you offset it by 112.5, you hit on enter. Can you see that? Then you can delete this particular one. Then you take your dimension to now, annotate, and you take your dimension. Then you can check this measurement from here to this point, and this is going to be our center to center grid. This is 2250. Can you see? Okay, then I will go to my Prota structure. And I will offset, or let me see, sorry, let me go back to my AutoCAD. Okay, then this is the center of the wall. All I need to do is I will check this dimension, or I can say, okay, let me just pick my dimension tool. I will pick this dimension from here to get this center from here to this point, because I have a grid line there before. This is 1113. Can you see that? If I click on dimension again, and I check this dimension from here again to this point, to this particular point, let's see, to this point. No, okay, this is 1114. Okay, this is just as a result of the software roundup. Let's pick it again. Let's make sure we are doing the right thing. Pick it from this point. You can pick it from here. Make sure you snap the center, and you pick it and stop it at this point. Okay, this is 11125. Okay, that's fine. So you can pick any one you want. Dimension, just want to make sure we snap the center. Let's stop it here. Can you see? Can you see it's now 113? Okay, we are going to be using 1113 for that. Okay, then I'll go back to my Prota structure now, and I will offset this point. where is the center point? This is the center point. This is the axis. I will select it and I will right click and say offset. I will offset axis. I will go upward by F2 1113. I will type enter. Okay, then I will do the same thing for this side. I will click on my axis now. I will select the axis and I will right click and I will say offset axis and I will come down. I will type F2 and I will type -1113. The other one, if you remember, we did not put minus, okay, but because this particular one we are coming downward, we need to put minus and I will hit on enter. Okay, as you can see, that is the point here and this is the point for this. You can still confirm your measurement. You measure from here to this point 1113. Can you see that? You do the same thing for this side to this point 1113. Can you see? Then I would like to have a beam there for my cantilever. I'll select this beam. I'll right click and say properties and I'll select or insert a beam from here to this point. Okay, select this one. I'll also insert a beam from here to this point. Okay, now looking at it now, I can delete this particular beam and make the whole of this piece a panel. I'll select this one and delete it. Okay, I don't need that there anymore. Then I'm going to select this slab, right click and say properties, and I will insert a slab at this point. Let's insert a slab here. Okay, if it's not snapping, can you see it's not snapping at all? You can still right click, properties, it's not still snapping. Then you go to pick point. Okay, we are on our pick point. Then before we continue, let's delete this pick point. Okay, then you pick another point. You pick this point, select this point, select this point, select this point, and you select this point. Okay, and we have successfully inserted a slab. Don't forget, the method we use now is by picking points. As you can see it here, it's not our beam region. As you have different types of ways you can insert your slab. You can use your axis region, beam region, pick axis, and others. Okay, we just use our pick point now. Okay, then this is going to be our landing, our first floor slab, where they are going to land on. Okay, that is that. Let me switch to 3D so that you can see what we have been doing. Okay, can you see this? Can you see? Can you see that? Okay, so I'll go back to my floor plan now and I'll generate this story. But before I generate this story, I would like to edit my beam wall load. Okay, I will edit my beam wall load. To edit your beam wall load now, you right click on one beam. You will still remember the way we do for the other training. Okay, you select one beam. You can select any beam. You right click and say properties. Okay, then let me close this. You right click and say edit wall load. You click on it. Once you click on it, then you go to wall unit weight. Wall unit weight for a single wall, for a single block is 2.87. Then for finishes at both ends is 0.6. I told you last time. So 2.87 plus 0.6 is 3.47. Then you type 3.47 here. Okay. Sorry, you select this one and type 3.47. Okay. You click on your tab to go to the next one. This is the wall height. My wall height, let me go to my architectural drawing. Then you check your elevation or your section. Can you see? Now, my wall height from first floor to second floor. If I pick my dimension to now and check the dimension from here to this point, okay, is what? This is 3,500. 3,500, if you remember, we have what is called, we have a beam. We are going to have a 450 beam. So 3,500, let me take my calculator. 3,500 minus 450 beam. Okay, that is going to give us 3.05. Okay, then you go back to your Prota structure now and you type 3.05, 3.05, 05. Okay, 3.05. Then the wall thickness is going to be 225.225 Can you see that? Then you click on OK. As you can see, this particular beam has a wall load. So I will right click now and say, and I will say copy wall load. Okay, I'll copy the wall load and I will go to my beams here on story 1. Can you see on story 1? I will select the first beam, I will scroll down, press my shift, I will select the last beam. Okay, you give it time to select the last beam, right click and say paste copied beam load. Okay, and I'll click on yes. As you can see, it has successfully copied all the wall load to other beams. Okay, all you now need to do is to start deleting the walls or the beams that doesn't have a wall load. Okay, I'm going to show you how to also introduce your line load. Okay, should in case you have a place where we have a wall and you don't have a beam there, how can you also create your line load? Okay, then if I show you what we have just done in 3D, we are going to see that all our model now have a wall load. Can you see this? Can you see? Can you see what we have created? Okay, then let me switch back to my story 1 plan. So the next thing I'm going to be doing now is to generate my story. I will generate my story and I'm going to insert my story. Because this is going to be a 2 suspended floor, my bungalow is going to be my story 1. It's going to be it's going to be a particular story on its own. My first floor is another story on its own, and my second floor is another story on its own. I explained this in the last training. So this is going to be 3 story automatically. Then I'll go to story. Then you go to your story, you click on it, you left click and right click and say insert story. Then here, total number of story is going to be 3. Delete this 0 and write 3. Okay, and you click on OK. And you click on yes. So if you look at this, our story or our tray here, you see that we have story 1, we have story 2, and we have story 3 now. If you go to your 3D, you are not going to still see this particular story because you have not generated your story. Okay, because this structure is, they are similar. What we have on first floor is also what we have on second floor. What I'm going to do now is, if I go back to my, let me show you that on my plan view. This is my second floor, as you can see, and this is my first floor. You see that we have the same thing. What we have here is also what we have at this point. Okay, so I will go back to my Prota structure now, and I'll go to my plan view. Okay, then I'll go to my story 1. Okay, then I'll go to my story. I'll select my story again and right click and say generate story. This time I will generate story, but before I generate story, I'm going to click on my edit story. Okay, if you remember, let me go back to my AutoCAD file. So we need to be working along with the architectural drawing now. Okay, it's very important because you are creating a structural model for what? For your architectural drawing. Okay, I'll click on my dimension now, and I want to check the height of this structure from one story to another. So from this first floor to this, from this ground floor rather to this first floor now, what is the dimension? If I check from here to this point, you see that the architect has provided a height of 3,500. Okay, from first floor, from the ground floor to the first floor. Okay, that is from floor to floor. Okay, so all you need to do now is that you go to your Prota structure, okay, and you type 3,500 as the height here. You type 35, okay, you type 35. Story 2, you type 35. We need to check for our story 1. Check, you type 35. Then let me go back to my AutoCAD file. Okay, from our ground floor to first floor, which we have just done here, ground floor to first floor, 35. Okay, from second floor, this is for our ground floor, this is for our first floor, okay, and this is for our second floor. So let's go and check our second floor now. Our second floor to ceiling level, let's check the dimension there. So from here to here now is what? Is 3,300. So you need to always check the dimension Can you see this is 3,300? And if I check from my first floor to my second floor, okay, this is also 3,500. Okay, we have even checked that. So let's check our ground floor. Okay, this is also 3,500, as you can see. So I'll go back to my total structure now. This is my ground floor, 3,500. This is my first floor, 3,500. Why this my second floor will be 3,300? Okay, I hope you understand that. Can you see? Can you see that? Then my first story bottom level, I'll just type this to be, I'll type this to be 450. Don't worry about the foundation depth for now. Whenever you want to model your foundation, you can always do that. This is 450 and not 4,500, and you click on OK. As you can see, I've successfully edited my story height. Then I will go back to story again. I will right click and say generate story this time. Then I'll say generate from story 1 to story 2 and to story 3. Okay, what are the elements you want to generate? Okay, I want to generate my columns, my slabs, my wall load and others. Any other one you don't need to generate. Or if it doesn't see those ones there, it's not going to generate. I'll just click on OK. And automatically it's going to generate the story or the member in the story. I'll click on close and I'll click on 3D. As you can see now, we automatically have all our member generated to other floors. Okay, as you know that on our roof beam, because this is going to be our roof beam now, on our roof beam we don't have a wall load because we don't have any wall coming on it. Okay, so what we are going to do now is to edit the story. Okay, we're going to edit the story, but before we do that, let me go back to my story 3 plan. I'll click on it. Then on my story 3 plan now, I will delete all the wall load. I'll go to this beam. As you can see my cursor, I'll click on the beam. I'll select this one, scroll down, press down my shift, select this particular one also, give it time to highlight everything, and I will right click and say delete wall load, and I'll click on yes. And it's going to automatically delete all the wall load on story 3. Then if I go back to my 3D now, okay, let's give it time, still deleting our wall load. Okay, can you see? Now I've successfully deleted all the wall load. Can you see the shape? Okay, now we don't also need all this slab. You go back to your story 3 plan. Okay, you go to your slab here, you click on this drop down, select this one, scroll down, press your shift, select the last one, right click and say delete slab only. You click on OK. As you can see, I've successfully deleted all my slab. Let me show you what I've just done in 3D again. Can you see? Can you see this? Can you see how perfect it is? Okay. Also, if you look at this wall load here, you see that the height doesn't meet this beam here. Okay. And another thing is that we don't also need this particular beam here. Okay. You need to be very, very careful. We don't need this beam here. We don't need that beam there. This is the wall load that will only go and meet the, what is it called? The beam, the roof beam directly. So you rotate your building, select this beam and delete it as well. Select this one and delete it as well. Then I can edit my wall load height for only this beam. Okay, I'll select it, right click and say edit wall load. Okay, and I'll change this height now to, let me change it to 4 meter. I'll change this to 4 meter to increase the wall load there. Sorry, wall height to 4 meter. Okay, then I'll click on OK. Oh, as you can see, the height is too much. Let me go to my AutoCAD file. Let me right click and say, let me see. We are supposed, if you cannot detect that there, just go back to your Prota. Then you reduce this wall load. Let me reduce this to 3,500. Edit wall load, and I will change it to 3.5 straightforward now. 3.5 meter. I'll click on OK. As you can see, the wall load has filled in the other beam. Okay, that is how it's supposed to be. I can select this beam now. I'll select the wall load, right click and say copy wall load. Then I'll select this particular beam now, right click and say paste copied wall load. I'll click on yes. Then I will rotate it again, select this particular beam this time, right click and say copy wall load and say paste beam wall load rather, and I will say yes. Okay, can you see that? Okay, let's do the same thing for this one. Let's select this beam and edit the wall load. Okay, you edit the wall load and you change this one to, let me change this one to 4 meter. I think 4 meter should work here. I'll click on OK. Okay, can you see that? We are still going to reduce the height of this beam because this is 450 and we don't need a 450 beam here. The only place we need a 450 beam is if there is going to be a tank on our roof slab. Okay, we'll see how we can do that. So I will also still increase the height of this wall load. Edit wall load, I'll change it to 4.2. I'll click on OK. Then I'll copy this wall load. It's still selected. I'll copy wall load. Then I'll select this one, right click and say paste copied wall load. I'll click on yes. Okay, I'll do the same thing for this other side. I will select the beam, right click and say paste copied wall load. I'll click on yes. Okay, so I can go to my plan view now. Okay, let me go to my story 1 and not story 1. So I will select this beam. Let me select this beam. I will select the beam, right click and say copy wall load, and I will go and paste the wall load at the other end. Okay, I can select this 3 beam here. Okay, make sure you select the 3 beam. Okay, right click and say paste copied load, and I'll click on yes. Okay, so if you go back to your what is it called, go back to your 3D now, you check if the wall load has been successfully copied. Let me see. Oh, I think I'm not supposed to tamper with the other beam. I tampered with the beam I'm not supposed to tamper with, so need to re-edit the wall load. Edit the wall load again. Or let's see how we can edit that wall load. Select the beam, right click and say edit wall load, and we change it back to 3.5. We tamper with the other beam we've worked on before. So you select the beam again and say copy wall load. Select this one now, paste wall load. Okay, yes. Select this one, paste wall load. You can also work from your 3D. Okay, let's see. Let me just do that from my 3D. Select this beam, right click and say paste wall load, paste copied wall load. Okay, and let me select this one as well, paste copied wall load. Okay, yes. I'll also do the same thing for this one. I will select it, right click and say paste copied load. Okay, yes. Then what I'm going to do is I will also scroll or rotate my building. I will select this beam, right click and say copied wall load to copy that property of the wall load. Okay, I'll select this beam and say paste copied wall load. Okay, I'll recopied that load. Make sure we did not select another beam. Let me select this beam, right click and say paste copied wall load. Yes. Okay, we have successfully pasted the wall load for this one. So let me select this beam again, select this particular beam now, right click and say paste copied beam wall load. Yes. I will rotate it again. I will select this one now. So you select this particular beam. Let's select this beam from this point. paste copied load. Yes. Okay. Can you see that? Can you see that? Now we need to go and modify our Storey 2. Okay. But this is where I'm going to stop for now. Okay. Can you see what we have achieved? Okay. This is where I'm going to stop for now. Thank you very much. See you in my next video.